So I'd like to start with a personal story. At the time of this recording, I have been in business. I will have been in business in a few more weeks, let's say 21 years. And in those 21 years, let me just tell you, I have learned a lot. I learned a lot the hard way. I learned a lot the easy way. I've learned a lot from working with other small business owners. And one thing that I feel like I may have done wrong is I had the wrong attitude about debt. I just automatically thought that debt was bad. You know, I went to college and I had partial scholarships, but I went to an out of state school and I also have 3 degrees, right? And so I have a lot of student loan debt. And so debt is just something that for me was no, it was just kind of like something that felt like it was something bad, right? So I wanted to stay away from debt as much as possible. In fact, I used to brag about the fact that I don't have no business debt. I personally financed my business, all of this other stuff. And one of the things that I realized is that while at some point that was a good thing to be personally financed by my business, right? It was also a hindering thing because the lack of having funds put me in a position to where I wasn't able to grow as fast as I could have grown. Now, in retrospect, looking back, I am grateful for the lesson because the lesson in all of that, it helped me to get to where I am. And I think that once I got to the place where I could get business debt, I was mature enough to get it. It was almost like as opposed to the 16-year-old you was ready to drive any and everywhere. And then the 25, 35-year-old you is like, listen, I'm not trying to go nowhere, right? Because you kind of got it off your chest. So for over a decade of my business was totally self-funded, which didn't have a whole lot of money. I'm just be real with you. I probably had a couple hundred, not a couple. Well, when I got started, let me just tell you, boy, I'm talking about bootstrapping. I really did bootstrap my business. I ain't have no money. And I know that's not grammatically correct, but that is exactly how I feel, and that is a true testament of what was going on. But over the years, again, I've learned, and now that I realize that having access to capital is usually one of the biggest things, especially for minority businesses, that hold us back. Having access to capital has totally changed the game for me. So now I am not a credit expert. I'm not purporting to be a credit expert. I'm only sharing from my own personal experience and the experiences that I have seen with the clients that I've worked with over the years, right? In my own personal experience, like one of the things that I could say is like, EIDL was the loan that came out after COVID, and the SBA was essentially giving money away. I know a lot of people who would have never been able to get funded have gotten funded because of that loan, right? So EIDL, when I applied for the EIDL loan, that was probably the first time that I ever applied for a business loan. And with the EIDL loan, I was amazed at the number that I got approved for. Like my EIDL approval number was well into the 6 figures. And so I'm like, wow, my little business can get that kind of money. So anyway, I digress. In addition to that, with credit cards, line of credits and all of that, I think my business probably has access to over $100,000 in line of credits. And I'm not sharing this to brag. I'm just sharing this information just to let you know what I've done, so that if somebody is like, how she know this is just from my own personal experience, right? So I don't have that kind of debt. I don't extend, I don't max out my credit cards. I pay my credit cards off every single month. But having access to that kind of capital has put me in a position to where I am not stressed about finances, right? I'm not stressed about it, and I can spend my time and my energy focusing on serving my clients and taking care of myself, right? And so having access to capital can alleviate some of those things, right? Even if I have clients that are slow to pay or don't pay their bills on time, it doesn't hinder me from being able to pay my bills. And that hasn't always been the story. So that's my personal story. So I want to share with you some types of funding that you can get in your small business, and then we'll talk about. So the the first way that you can fund your small business is what I did for the first 10 and 12 years is self-funding. Self-funding is when you personally put money into your business. This can be money from your savings account. It could be money from, let's say if you have a job and your business is a part-time business or a side hustle, you can fund your business from your primary source of income. Sometimes in situations where business owners are married, maybe once that spouse is full-time in a business but is not really generating money, so you may be being funded by your spouse. So those are all self-funding ways, self-funding for your business. And a lot of times that's just the way that it has to be, because either we are afraid to apply for credit or we just don't understand what the requirements are. We're going to talk about that tonight. The second way that you can fund your business is with credit cards, whether that is a business credit card, which is what I would recommend, or a personal credit card that you use exclusively for your business. Now, the reason I recommend a business credit card versus a personal credit card is business credit card usually has higher limits. Business credit cards usually have greater rewards. I might do a whole session on the rewards and points that I've gotten from my credit cards. It's been unbelievable. Business credit cards report to your business credit and they don't report to your personal credit. And the reason why that's important is that when you have a business credit card, so for instance, with my business credit cards, those credit cards don't report to my personal credit. So they did do an inquiry when I applied for it. So I did get an inquiry on my personal credit because they want to know if I'm credit worthy, but they don't report on my credit. So I don't have to worry about them showing up as new accounts, because new accounts will drop your credit score. And I also don't have to worry about them affecting my utilization rate. So I don't know how familiar you are with the way that credit works, but utilization is something that is important. The other thing about business credit is you can max out your business card. I don't recommend this, but if it comes to that, you can max out your business card and just pay the minimum payments on it, and it won't affect your business credit because utilization is not even a component of business credit. So that's something else to think about with business credit cards. And so business credit cards is a great way to fund your business, because then it allows you to, again, especially if you get a business credit card with rewards, because then you can use those rewards for doing certain things. And like I said, I have business credit cards and I've used my rewards to travel. And I've bought lots of plane tickets with those rewards. So it's kind of nice. Third way that you can fund your business is a line of credit. Line of credit is ideal for businesses that have cash flow that's up and down, that's cyclical. If you have clients that kind of they don't pay steady, right? A line of credit is a great way to fund your business, because it allows you to have access to cash or capital when cash is tight, and when the money comes in, you can pay it off. The beauty of a line of credit is you only borrow what you need. You have access to more than that, but you borrow what you need at that particular time, and you only pay interest on what you've borrowed. So let's say, for instance, like one of my line of credits, I have two line of credits. One of my line of credits is for $30,000. I have a $30,000 line of credit. So if my cash got tight and I needed $10,000 to make payroll or something like that, let's just say, I can pull down $10,000. I won't pay interest on the $30,000 line of credit that I have. I only pay interest on the 10 that I've pulled down. So that's one of the beauties of line of credits, because a line of credit will allow you to do that. And again, once you pay it off, then there's no more interest. So that's the third way. And then the fourth way that you can fund your business is an actual loan. And EIDL, it is an example of that kind of loan. Because with an EIDL loan, you get all the money up front, right? You have access to all the money now, and you're going to pay interest on everything that you borrow until you've actually paid that back. So now when you talk about business loans, I want to make it clear that there are maybe two types of loans that you can get. You can get what's called a traditional loan. Traditional loans are loans that you usually get through the bank, right? And the bank has like certain requirements and things like that for these types of loans. Then you can get what's called non-traditional loans, and non-traditional loans are usually from places like, you may have seen PayPal. PayPal email me every day, it feels like, talking about you can get some credit or whatever, you can get a loan from us or whatever. That's considered a non-traditional loan. The plus side to non-traditional loans is usually the requirements are a lot less stringent. They don't do, the underwriting that they do is a little different, but the downside to non-traditional loans is the interest rate is usually ridiculously higher. And so, EIDL just like got me to the point where I'm giving everybody the hand. If anybody comes to me and asks me about, trying to sell me a loan, I'm just sitting here looking like, not with this 3% interest rate that I got from the SBA. I'm not trying to talk to you with your 50% interest rate. It is not that high, but some of them can be really, really high. So you want to pay attention to that. So non-traditional loans are with places like Square is another example of a non-traditional loan. Their rates are not as bad. I've done the Square loan before. So their rates are a little bit higher than a traditional bank, but not as bad as some of the others that I've seen. So just pay attention to that, because sometimes the interest that you pay or the amount of money that you have to repay on that loan is not worth it. So now let's talk about it. We might go a little bit over tonight, but I think it's going to be worth it. So just please stay with me. Some of the things these are some of the social media myths that I want to dispel, right? When it comes to this. So business credit is directly tied to your personal credit. I don't care what anybody says on social media. I have never seen, and I told you guys, I've been in business for 21 years. I have never seen anyone with bad personal credit that gets business credit. They are related, right? It's just like if you know somebody, let's say for instance, if you meet somebody and you know that person always is, they're a liar. They never tell the truth. Every time you talk to them, they're always telling a lie. If that person is always telling a lie, would you believe them this time because they told you that you are beautiful or your shirt is pretty or whatever? Like, why would you believe them this time when all the other times they've lied? And so when you have bad credit, that's like you didn't fulfill your obligations over here. You didn't pay these people back like you said you was, but you want me to believe that you're going to pay me back. It doesn't work like that. So you have to have good personal credit to get business credit. Now, those non-traditional loans that I talked about, they don't really care about your personal credit because they're going to hit you with the interest so bad that they don't mind. Square is a little different because Square's loan is one where they will take a percentage of your sales. They know that you're processing sales through them, and they'll just take a percentage of your sales to repay the loan. So their interest rate is usually not too bad. It's not great, but it's not too bad. The other thing that you have to have when you are applying for loans, is cash flow. Banks want to see that you have enough money to pay them back. Like if we give you this loan, we give you this credit card, we give you this line of credit, are we gonna get our money back? That's what we need to know, right? So they need to see that you have steady income coming in that you're gonna be able to repay this loan. The other thing is, do you even have a real business, right? And so is your business real? And when I say real business, what I mean is, are you treating your business like a business? Is it a hobby? Is it, as when we were little kids, we used to say for play? Is it for play, or are you serious about your business? And if you are serious about your business, do you have the components in place to express that that's a serious business, right? So those are some of the requirements. Again, I'm not a credit expert. I'm just sharing from my own personal experience. Now, the last thing that I want to share before we wrap up is some of the mistakes that you make. So I see a question about determining cash flow. Not necessarily, because a P&L does not tell you if a business has cash flow. P&L just tells you if the business is profitable or if it has a loss. If you have an accounting system like QuickBooks or something like that, there is a statement of cash flows, and the statement of cash flows will tell a banker or a lender where your cash is coming from and where it's going from. And those are some of the things that they'll use. They also use some ratios to determine cash flow, to determine whether or not your numbers are good enough to get a loan. And that's probably another session. The last thing that I want to talk about, because we are over our 15 minutes, but I want to give you this. So some of the mistakes that people make when it comes down to funding their business. And funding your business, getting loans is not always bad. Sometimes it's bad, but the first mistake is they misuse the funds. So you know, a lot of people got EIDL, a lot of people got PPP, and I saw people get those loans and do great things with their business. My business is an example of that. Having access to that money put me in a position to where I could increase my team, right? And be able to, one of the things that I want to do is grow and create a business that is not just me, right? There's a business where I am employing other people. And so one of the things that it allowed me to do is be able to do that. But I saw people misusing the money, right? They got all this money and they went and bought vehicles or used the money and bought personal stuff and didn't invest in their business, did not use the money to create income for your business. For me, one of the parameters that I use when I spend money is when I spend this money, it's got to do one or two things. It's need to either make me money or make my life easier, right? And so in my business, if I spend money in my business, whether it's hiring somebody or buying a new software, a new program or something, I need to be able to say, is this going to make me some money? Because if it's not going to make me any money, I'm not trying to buy it, right? So a lot of people messed up by misusing the funds. The other thing is that they're underfunded. Sometimes when you don't know your numbers, when you're not familiar with your business or where you need to be, you don't even know how much money to ask for. And because you don't know how much money to ask for, you just throw a number out there, right? And you say, oh, I need $20,000, when in reality you really needed 35, but you don't know that because you don't know your numbers. You don't have an accountant, you don't have somebody like me on your team to be able to help you to figure out what that number is. And so you're asking for the wrong thing, or you're not asking for enough money. And then the last mistake that people make is just not having a plan. They don't have a plan for the money. And so when that money hits your account, you lose your mind because before it hits your account, you didn't even create a plan for how you're going to use it and how you're going to repay that money. And so borrowing for your business could be a good thing, but sometimes it could be a not so good thing. So thank you for sticking around a little bit longer than we normally go. You know, I like to keep these things at 15 minutes, but this topic was one that kind of took us a little bit over the time limit. One thing that I want to share is I want you to save the date. More details are coming, but on January 7th, go ahead and save the date. January the 7th, I am doing a full-blown, full-day strategy session. I need you to block that day now. Don't put anything else on your calendar. If you are in business, you're trying to grow your business, you need somebody like me to help you strategize to grow your business, go ahead and block the date. It's January 7th. We're going to do a full-day strategy session. It's virtual, so don't worry about where you live, where I live. None of that will matter. Block the date, okay? And if you are, again, interested in working with me or finding out more about my company, you can visit my website at the BTB Advisory Firm. You see my shirt? The BTBadvisoryfirm.com, where you can find out more about my services. So again, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate you guys staying around, and I'm here every Wednesday at 8 Eastern sharing some tips to help you be more productive and profitable in your business. I will see you guys next week. Have a great one.